I ran out of isopropyl alcohol. That's what I've been mixing this alcohol-based stain with in order to dilute it. But lucky for me, my boyfriend happens to be Russian, and that means there's always money in the banana stand. The banana stand is the milk crate of Soviet Union era vodka bottles we have in the pantry. Yeah, I'm using this. Could someone explain why this one is filled with olives? I'm sitting on a chair that has no back. And it's also covered in orange dust. There's a reason for the orange dust. I decided recently that I wanted to get some things finished and done with the renovations because they've been driving me a little bit nuts. And I have a bad habit of picking up 87 brand new projects when I haven't even finished a single one. Back in November, I started resurfacing this dining table that I'm sitting at. It has a veneer top and I had to shave down some old sort of water damage that had made the veneer raise and buckle, and it was all crazed, and it was also a little bit covered in glitter, which is my fault because I'm 12. So I started sanding it and learning how to resurface veneer. Unfortunately, I then picked the wrong stain, and that mistake happened after I put the Christmas decorations up. So now all of our Christmas decorations are covered in red dust, and no matter how much I vacuum and mop, the red dust isn't going away. But it's fine because now I've got the color right and the surface smooth, and I'm also driving myself crazy with not having a dining table any longer to make mess on, so now I need to finish this job. Now you might be wondering, Ellen, why would you do that to yourself? Why on earth would you sand the dining table, which most people would sand outside, in the house and get red dust everywhere? And that's a really good question that can be answered by me being very lazy, but also me having back problems, and this dining table not only being an 8-seater, but something that actually folds out to, I think, like a 10-seater. So I didn't want to do that, but I will do the chairs outside if I decide to restain them. But the good news is I finally got the color perfect, so there will be no more sanding. It's just staining. That's all I have to do. Put a pin in that one, my friends, because those will in fact be my famous last words. This is all I have left to do. It's 90% done. We're nearly there. Now let's start this part 2 debacle of renovating my dining room, starting with this dining table with the Martha Stewart method that she typically uses for food dye, in which she takes a skewer, dips it into her dye, and then mixes that into whatever medium she will be colouring, and in my case it's 30-year-old vodka and wood stain. Around the edges of the table, I had put undiluted wood stain so that I could get a kind of, I think it's Jacobean style stain, where it's darker at the edges and then lighter in the center. And this would kind of help guide the colors that I would eventually use with acrylic paint to fill in all of those patches you could see. The next step was to go over those patches and some of those dark areas around the edge with a little bit of black acrylic paint on a flat brush. The paint that I'm using here is artist quality paint, so it is supposed to not fade, I believe, for over 100 years in gallery conditions, but I'm not sure how that's going to work out for a dining table, and I guess I'm not going to be alive to see it, so I don't know, whoever gets this after me, if it survives, can let me know. I then started mapping in some of the lighter center panels that I wanted to create, or center patches. I don't know, I'll explain in 1 second. Hello. Alright. I have here, upon my person, a lot of paint. Well, it's not a lot of paint, it's like 3 bottles of paint. 3 separate colors. A to-do list. I have these Bunnings themed happy birthday plate. Bunnings sent these to me once in a packet that contained 2 things, and they put this and a bunch of disposable cups that were also Bunnings themed, and also some Bunnings themed happy birthday bunting. And I recall getting the package, opening it, wondering why they put this in there, and then being like, not only do I not want these, I would never throw any children a Bunnings themed birthday party because I feel like they would get bullied for it. But they've come in handy for disposables in art. I need a reference. Wood burl. The plan is to cover up some of the things that kind of got gouged out in resurfacing this table. We do wood burl, and I'm pretty happy with the color, and there's still a decent amount of the original stain. Well, the original stain I did, not the original stain, showing through. So I like that. But I really like wood burl, and since this table is not really anything, why not have fun with it? Ooh, I like this one. I want to do kind of a butterfly effect. What I think I need to do is lighten the center with a kind of orange tone. So I'm gonna mix that up with some of this warm yellow and some red and maybe a touch of black. This is probably actually not the best plate to be using because it's red, which is not the best for getting legit colors. So my plan is I kind of want to do like a butterfly veneer wood burl, burled butterfly veneer. There's little cat hairs on this that I will have to sweep. A burled butterfly veneer look to make this sky look cool, but also like darkens towards the edges, which I've kind of sketched in with what I've done with my underglaze. I would like this to be less red, more yellow. Put too much red down. So yesterday, of time sketching in kind of the lights and darks, figuring out how dark I wanted to go. Did I like where I was going? Did I feel like things were looking excellent? Party time, you know, they sort of do. They sort of do look excellent, and also maybe even party time. One of the things I want to do is where I've sanded down to the chipboard, there are these sort of like rough bits, and when you paint them black, they look cool. They look kind of like natural knots in the wood, but I am wondering if I can use a thicker varnish to fill them, or like a resin. I have resin, I just don't really want to use it indoors because of the off-gassing. And also the cats that will drop hair into the resin. But the off-gassing is really, you know, the scary part. I don't have any UV resin right now, and I also don't really have any pipettes. Tiny bit of black in order to get a nice solid drop. This still feels too orange. Ooh, it's starting to look better. I think it does need to be a touch lighter, which is the yellow, this guy. And then maybe a touch browner, a touch more brown. More brown touch. Touch brown. Brown touch. Hi, sweetie. I'm not gonna lie. The other day, yesterday, when I was doing this, Adrian came out and he looked at it, he was like, whoa, that looks awesome. And then he was asking if there's any sort of people who do furniture restoration where they do stuff like this, where they sort of like take some, I don't know, cracked up veneer and like make it look cooler than it did to restore it. And I haven't really seen that. I know some people will do stuff with like contact and stuff like that, but I don't know. If you guys know of anybody, let me know. Right, I have a reference image. It's very cool, but it's also very small. But I know I want a butterfly effect, so I think I will start with that. It's very streaky. and it's got a kind of diamond in the center. And if this is too dark and too orange, we can go for it, and that'll be fine. Diamond in the center, which we would brush kind of like this to ensure we get nice wood grain. And make sure we get rid of our brush streaks, which honestly might mean I need to add the varnish stuff in, or a bit of water, but I don't really want to use water on this, although I have sealed it, so it might be fine now, because water makes the MDF swell like nobody's business. I'll add a little bit of sealer in to increase my working time. Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah, that makes the colour look better too. Okay. I need to use my big brush. I can still see some parts of this that are like too yellow and too purple. So, but using the thin paint, I think it's very cool in terms of adding character to the wood. At this point, the table may just be becoming entirely painted, but you know what? It's fine. I restored my dining room table using vodka and acrylic paint. There's a video title. Is that one emotive, YouTube AI? Does that one increase curiosity for the viewer? Hi, Smeagol. You do not want to get on this table. Trust me, buddy. Move my camera over here. Whoop. Whoa, Smeags. Oh my god, how did you even get on there? This guy. Good morning. Oh God, you can see all my mess around me. Oh, there's my isopropyl alcohol. I was looking for that. You can see all my mess behind me because everything's out of order because I've been working on this table. So, you know, things have had to go on the floor, on the island, I've got no excuse for why that photo wall looks the way it does. Sorry. I really thought last night that I was going to wake up and I was just going to be able to get the paper bag out and buff everything out and it was going to be finished and I'd just be doing reveal shots today. Some like sexy table shots with like some porno music. I thought that would be cool. Just in case you guys are like sexually attracted to tables and that does better for me in the algorithm. I don't know. That's not what happened because I woke up today, I came out, I looked at it and I was like, I have an iron deficiency. That probably doesn't make any sense. What I mean is one of my hairs got trapped in the table. So I've got to sand that out now. And then I will put the final clear coat on and then this afternoon I will upload images of my table to pornhub.com. I hope that you guys will enjoy that. Just kidding, they'll be at the end of this video. What is wrong with me? My boyfriend's been away for like 2 days and I'm going insane. But alas, we must sally forth. While I'm going to do some sanding, and then while I wait for that to dry, I'm working on a Valentine's Day Etsy drop for my Etsy store, and it's actually working out really well so far. And I've been making sure to keep my hair back and wash my hands every 10 seconds, because I am really paranoid about, because I'm doing polymer clay, and I'm really paranoid about my polymer clay being really, really clean, because if you've ever worked with polymer clay, you know how annoying it is. Because you think you've done a perfect job, and then you look down, there's lint, and you're like, great, I guess I'll keep this one. After I sanded the table, scrubbed the table clean, and then put on another layer of polyurethane, I worked on that Etsy drop, printed some fabric, and did a few other things that were table related, just to add a few final details. This involved making some hand embroidered and beaded napkin rings and some pretty napkins. I love the sweet pea theme I had with my florals at Christmas, so I am continuing with sweet peas and probably a few other poisonous flowers, just to, you know, add to the creepy garden witch vibes that I'm always all about. Now before I show you how the table looks for now, it's not 100% finished because apparently polyurethane takes 10 years to dry. This is what the table looked like when we first got it. And these are the changes that I've made so far, including resurfacing the table, creating some napkins and napkin rings, hand printing some new upholstered chairs, and even creating that table runner. Now I'd love to show you a much better close-up of this finished table, but I'm waiting until all of the chairs have been totally reupholstered and the dining room is in a bit more of a finished state to give you the full tour.